Alright, what's up homies? Welcome back to Epic's Dark Souls lore series. I got some pretty solid info for you bros this week. Not much speculation this time. I'm gonna leave that to you guys. But yeah, there's a lot of information and I don't have a lot of time, so let's just get started. Today's topics are Izalith and Pyromancy. So after the birth of the first flame, the Witch of Izalith claimed a Lord Soul. Using its power, she and her daughters fought against the dragons. And everything was groovy for a while. We don't know much about the good times of Izalith, but it is quite an impressive city. I mean, they had highways and shit where you fight that Titanite demon and everything. That was pretty cool. But during the duration of the Age of Fire, it's unclear what was really going on, but we do know that things turned bad. So, and this, I'm starting to kind of put the timeline for the game together a little bit too. So, about 1,000 years prior to the start of the game, something happened, something big. The Witch of Izalith tried to copy the first flame using a soul. It's unclear why she tried to copy the flame, but it's possible that the flame was beginning to die out, because this is around the same time that Gwen linked the bonfires in order to sustain the Age of Fire. So something bad was going on. If the fire was dying out, then maybe they had different ideas about how to do it. This is speculation, but Gwen is thinking, hey, we need to link the bonfires to sustain the fire. And the Witch of Izalith says, no, let's just copy that bitch. In any case, she tried to copy the flame, but failed miserably. Instead, chaos was born. So if you read the Lord Soul description, it says, the Witch of Izalith attempted to duplicate the first flame from a soul, but instead created a distorted being of chaos and fire. Its power formed a bed of life, which would become the source of all demons. So she was twisted and transformed, or perhaps absorbed by, the Bed of Chaos, the most annoying fucking boss in this game. Yes, the Bed of Chaos. Her daughters were also transformed in the ensuing chaos, and you can get confirmation of that from Quelana. Quelana escaped into the swamp, while her sisters Quelaag and the Fair Lady made a home near the demon ruins. Now, Quelana is actually a really good source for us. She is one of the more talkative NPCs, and she hangs out in the swamp just in front of Quelaag's domain. Probably a lot of players don't even know she's there. She can only be seen by talented pyromancers. There are a few rumors about what you have to do to get her to appear. For me, upgrading my pyromancy flame to +10 always triggers her to appear. So that's always worked for me. Quelana, she occasionally takes apprentices. Now, the first one that she took was Salaman, and now the player. So, and after you talk to her enough and do beat a couple bosses and keep her dialogues moving along, she tells you she wants you to destroy the Bed of Chaos in order to free her mother's and sister's souls. Her sister Quelaag, or Kellogg as I always say, is another really interesting character. She has been transformed by chaos and attacks the player on sight. There are a few possible reasons for her hostility. These are all speculation, we don't know for sure. One, she is simply under the influence of chaos and has no control over her actions. Another popular theory too is that she needs to collect humanity for her sister. So if you have joined the Chaos Covenant before, you probably noticed that the Fair Lady is quite sickly, but becomes more lively if you donate enough humanity. So, for this reason, it's possible that she is just trying to take care of her sister by harvesting humanity from undead that wander into her lair. So, we really don't know much about Quelaag's motivations, but she is a fucking cool boss, I know that much for sure. But yeah, she was transformed by chaos, and that is why she's got the hot half and the spider half. Her sister, who I'm calling the Fair Lady, some people are calling her Qualan or something like that. I haven't found any dialogue or any item description that gives her name, so I'm calling her the Fair Lady. If you have an item description or a dialogue that tells this character's name, please leave a comment, but The Fair Lady herself is a sad, sad, sad character. For starters, she's been transformed into a 50% hideous spider demon, but she's also blind and immobile. The only one that she can talk to is Quelaag, because other people can't understand her language. But the player kills Quelaag, so yeah. If you equip the Old Witch's Ring, she begins to believe that you are her sister, who you murdered, because you can understand her. She's blind too, so she can't see the difference. Oh, do you feel like a dick yet? Do you feel like a dick yet? No? No? Not yet? Well, alright, her story gets worse. When you first speak to her, she's on the verge of death. The eggs that always surround her have stopped moving and she's really scared. Most likely this is a result of drinking blight pus. So, Ingini or Ingi or whatever, Ingi, I'm gonna say Ingi. He tells you the story, the egg guy that hangs out next to her, Ingi. He tells you the story of how he was suffering due to pus, blight pus, and the Fair Lady drank it to help him, even though Quelaag told her not to. Disgusting but noble, and apparently also quite poisonous. So, please, do the world a favor and either toss that woman some humanity or put the bitch out of her misery and take her Firekeeper soul. Oh yeah, that's the one more interesting thing about her. She has a Firekeeper soul. She is a bonfire keeper. Ingi is the loyal servant of the Fair Lady, but he's also a nasty little joker. He may even be the reason why the swamp of Blighttown is poisonous. He was hated and run out of the swamp due to creating pyromancies that cause poison and toxin. So if you read the description of the toxic mist pyromancy, it says unique pyromancy crafted by Ingi, considered a heretic even in the Great Swamp. So why was Ingi driven from the Great Swamp? One only need cast this pyromancy, a perverse diversion from the art of fire, to find out. So it's speculation, but it's possible that the swamp is poisonous due to him and his pyromancies. So make sure to give him a big motherfucking boot to the face after you've heard his story. But do listen to his story first, because he talks about some really interesting stuff. One of the things that he tells you about is the molten giant who watches over the flame of chaos. So here he's talking about ceaseless discharge. Now this is a boss that has made a lot of players scratch their motherfucking heads, including me. It just seems really random, but like most other things in this game that seem random, it's not. There actually is a reason that he's here. So the Daughters of Chaos are Quelaag, Quelana, the Fair Lady, and there's probably more. You see more in the intro, you see other daughters. So there were several sisters. Ceaseless Discharge is probably their brother, actually. So it wasn't just the Daughters of Chaos, there was also at least a son of Chaos. If you read the description of the orange charred ring, it says, since his sores were inflamed by lava from birth, his witch sisters gave him this special ring. But, fool that he is, he readily dropped it, and from that spot, a terrible centipede demon was born, which simultaneously explains the demon centipede. Bam! A rare 2-for-1. Damn, Epic's on a roll today. Yeah, so Ceaseless Discharge is probably their brother, and he dropped that ring like a fool. He watches over the clothes of perhaps his sister. I can't remember right now, but I think it said Quelana's old clothes or something like that. But there's a corpse that he's watching over, which many players have speculated is the Witch of Izalith's body. That's possible, but she may be entwined with the Bed of Chaos. It may be just one of his sisters. But in any case, he's watching over what is clearly one of his family members, either his sister or his mother. He actually does not permanently aggro on you until you take those clothes. If you go in the room and attack him with a bow or something, he will fight you, but then when you come back, he's not hostile. He only permanently turns hostile when you take the clothes. Just an interesting little fact. Another boss that just seems a bit random to a lot of players is the demon Fire Sage. Fire Sage was the first demon. He was the last master of the fire before chaos was born. And yeah, that's it. He's just a demon. Incidentally, pyromancy is inherently chaotic. It was born when the Witch of Izalith was engulfed by chaos. Prior to the advent of chaos, there was no pyromancy, which is really interesting. So let's talk a bit about pyromancy and how it has been developed and spread. The first pyromancer that most players will meet in the game is Laurentius of the Great Swamp. In his dialogue, he says that if you hadn't helped him, he would have been her supper. Now, it's not clear who he means, but there are two good possibilities. One, and the most likely, is the Gaping Dragon. He could have also meant Man-Eater Mildred. She spawns in the swamp below, but it's possible that she dwells in the sewers. So he was going to be eaten alive. But after being rescued, he readily shares his pyromancy flame and pyromancies with the player. He also speaks a bit about his old master. Now, his master's identity is not known for sure, but there is a hint that it may be Quelana's pupil Solomon, or someone related to Solomon. Now, Laurentius says that his master taught that pyromancy is the ultimate fantasy, and that those who are drawn to the flame seek to hold it in their hands. So if we talk about Solomon, if you read the description of Great Fireball, it says, Solomon, the master pyromancer, also called the Great Fireball after this spell, believed pyromancy was rooted in an adoration of fire. Quelana said Solomon was her pupil over 200 years ago, and Laurentius mentions that his master is very old, so it's possible that they are connected. However, Quelana implies that he lost himself and was consumed by the fire. Even if Laurentius's master was not Solomon, however, it may have been one of Solomon's pupils. And we know that Solomon did have pupils. For example, there is Carmina, known as Solomon's most accomplished or most adept pupil. Carmina created Flash Sweat, Iron Skin, and Power Within, so pretty fucking pro if you ask me. Most pyromancies seem to have been handed down or created by the line that leads all the way back to Quelana of Izalith. And that, by the way, is why Quelana, not her mother, is often referred to as the mother of pyromancy, because she is the one who she taught Solomon, and then he taught pupils, and it seems that they've taught pupils as well. It's not 100%, but this is some pretty solid info. However, there are some pyromancies that were created by quote-unquote outlanders. In the Painted World, you can find several enemies that use fire, and two pyromancies that are not connected to the Quelana school, Acid Surge and Fire Surge. You can also fight a strange NPC invader, Xanthus King Jeremiah. He is a legendary exile, and that's pretty much all we know about him. He uses pyromancy like it's going out of style, and he also wears a really unique hat. His headgear is actually a Demon's Souls throwback for you guys that haven't played Demon's Souls. Although the Demon's Souls version honestly looked a lot cooler, and I never thought I would say that about that stupid ass head wrap. But hey, some folks love that shit, so different strokes for different folks. Oh, one more thing I wanted to talk about in this video, but I just completely forgot, and I'm remembering it now as I'm doing this recording. You fight a pyromancer enemy right before the Bed of Chaos, around the same area where Dark Wraith Kirk invades. You fight a pyromancer who is apparently alive. I cannot remember it right now. I just can't remember if it's male or female. If it's female, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's one of the Daughters of Chaos and is protecting the Bed of Chaos. If it's male, I will speculate that it is Solomon. It's actually Quelana's apprentice who's gone insane because of his love of fire. So I can't remember if it's male or female right now. You guys have to hook me up below in the comments. Okay, yeah, that wraps up the Dark Souls info for this vid. If you tuned in for that, it's over. Thanks for watching. I busted my ass trying to put all the clips and info together, so I really hope you enjoyed it. And I'll catch you again next week with some more lore.